Disclaimer: the content provided in this podcast is for informational and entertainment purposes only. While we discuss topics related to mental health advice, life wisdom, and alike, the opinions expressed are personal views of the hosts and do not constitute professional, legal, or medical advice. We make no representations or warranties about the accuracy or completeness of the information discussed. Any action you take based on the information in this podcast is strictly at your own risk, and we are not liable for any losses or damages in connection with its use. Additionally, this podcast may contain discussions around addictions, substances, which are intended for adult audiences. We do not endorse any illegal activities. Please consult your local laws before engaging in any actions related to this content. By listening to this podcast, you agree that you are over the age of 18 or the age of majority in your jurisdiction and understand the terms of this disclaimer.
Welcome to the Balancing Forces podcast, where two opposites collide in the best way possible. One brings the fire,
the other keeps it chill.
But together we share life's lessons, hard-earned wisdom,
advice you can actually use.
Whether you need a fresh perspective or just a laugh, we're here to elevate your mind. So buckle up, because things are about to get real and
really funny.
So, let me ask you something. Have you ever felt like you're doing all the things to manifest? Journaling, visualizing, raising your vibe? But your dream still feels like a really cute cloud that just keeps drifting out of reach? That's not your fault. You're manifesting with Jupiter, the planet of expansion, of vision, of dreaming big and feel good. And yes, Jupiter is the party. It's that high frequency energy that says, you can have more, you are meant for more. But here's the truth. Jupiter gives you the dream, but Saturn builds the damn road. Saturn is structure. Saturn is systems. Saturn is showing up even when you don't feel like it. Saturn says, you want it? Cool. Let's get to work. Real manifestation? It's a cosmic collab. Jupiter for the vision, Saturn for the follow-through. You don't just need the vibe. You need the vessel to hold it. So ask yourself, are you dreaming or building? The universe isn't just listening. It's watching what you build. Manifestation isn't just vibes, it's engineering your evolution. Inside the Alchemist Laboratory, we don't just vibe high and journal pretty affirmations. We build systems for your soul. We map transits into the body using your solar map so you know when to dream and when to design. And we help you create sustainable magic, not just spiritual highs. Chapter 41. The Impasse Between Two People. Do you feel you and your spouse, boyfriend, or girlfriend growing apart? Do you feel like one of you has one foot in and one foot out? Or perhaps you feel like one of you is often putting a toe in the waters outside of the relationship in some way or another. Has the relationship been deteriorating for a long time? I'm of the very adamant belief that any time there is a persisting and expanding impasse between two people in a relationship, any relationship, but especially intimate relationships, it is not because there are irreconcilable differences between them per se, or because one person just won't change, or because one person is all at fault, or any of the other normal excuses. While any of those things might be a small or surface factor in the equation, the greater issue is nearly always something quite different. Relationship impasses occur and grow because one person, or sometimes two, is withholding some truth that they know, if they speak it, would blow up the relationship. Things that were never spoken or never admitted at some point in the relationship only grow. They grow out of sight, well hidden. But they do grow insidiously, quietly, at least for a while. Then they break out, infecting everything. They manifest in every unimaginable way, even as their real identity remains behind the light of day. It could be a past affair, failure of hidden investments that drained the family bank account. I'm not attracted to you anymore. I was never really in love with you, and I knew it before we married. I never wanted you. I'm gay. I want someone with more money. I hate you. I'm in love with someone else. I'm using you for stability or security. I don't want to have kids. I never wanted to have kids with you. You and your values bore me. I'm still in love with my ex. I don't love you anymore. I can't stand touching you and sex with you. The withholding of all of these is driven by the simple belief, if I show you who I really am, I fear you won't like me. I know pretty much how you'll respond. I know you'll run or lose it. I know this relationship is over. And the fear of losing the security of this relationship outweighs any hope for gain from telling the truth. Fear, in other words, as we've seen throughout this book, is a powerful motivator. In fact, people will hire a therapist for individual counseling and then lie to the therapist, not just in couples counseling, but even in individual counseling, never even revealing their truth to the therapist because it is too powerful to even mutter. Or people will hire a therapist for relationship counseling and then seemingly tell everything, 99% of the truth, creating what I call the illusion of transparency. Yet, all of the while, they're withholding what is known in aviation, specifically rotorcraft, as the Jesus pin or the Jesus nut, the lone nut attaching the main rotor to the helicopter body. In more common usage, the Jesus pin denotes the lone component that represents a single point of failure with catastrophic consequences. People will create the illusion of transparency while never revealing what they absolutely know is the linchpin of the relationship, the single most salient, most powerful, and potentially most destructive piece of information. Interestingly, despite the illusion of transparency, this person's partner can sense, just feel, that something is off, despite incessant protestations to the contrary. Or the fear of telling the real truth is so great that people will avoid counseling, avoid the truth, and blame their partner, even when they fully know they themselves are at fault, to avoid the humiliation and loss from telling the truth. Or here's the other side of it, mad as it sounds. People will blow up a relationship with a lie before they'll ever blow it up with what is really going on. People will cheat or destroy the relationship in any number of ways before they will speak their truth, because the fear is so great. The fear of being completely real and honest is the most terrifying thing in most people's lives. The fear of being seen, the fear of looking bad, the fear of retribution, the fear of loss of security, even when that secure relationship is in total shambles with the little hope of turning around. I've had clients engaging in full on affairs, taking extreme risks with the potential of getting caught. I've had clients flat out state, I don't care about getting caught, even when getting caught carried far greater potential costs in the inevitable subsequent divorce, as well as carrying the stigma of being the bad guy. So great is the drift between two people that love not only turns to hate, but hate turns to indifference, to eventually hoping the spouse would get pissed and dump him. So great can relationship discontent become. So great also the fear of actually talking stuff out, truthfully and forthrightly, that people will do the trippiest stuff. It's crazy what people will resort to so as to avoid speaking the truth that is consuming their soul. It is little different from the relationships you have or don't have with your own self. More often than not, the grand cause of a person's life draining disconnect from his or her own self is the unwillingness to admit, let alone deeply look at, one or two major truths. It's what drives the mad running discussed in previous chapters. It is the fear of admitting something deeply buried. It is the fear of admitting some deeply buried life truths. For admitting said truths would cause the carefully constructed lie known as one's life to fall apart. That for many is a fate worse than death. And yet, cliche as it sounds, the truth does set you free. I'm a huge advocate of speaking even the ugliest of truths, not because it is the only thing that can possibly truly turn your relationship with your mate around, but because it is the only thing that can possibly turn around your relationship with your own self. What this whole spiritual life is about is relationship with your own self. Until you hear and heed your own inner vibe, feel, voice, especially when it scares you, you have no relationship with yourself, no true joy, no lasting peace, no clarity. The heart longs to be clean, and that necessarily demands the unburdening of that which is your truth, warts and all. As my 89-year-old mother often says, warts and all. But alas, it is the price of revealing our warts that keeps us hidden and keeps our hearts heavy. And eventually it is the heaviness and the pain of the heart that breaks us, breaks our fears, oddly simultaneously giving us the courage to speak and live our truth. Then we discover the unbounded joy of living with a clean heart. The ugly part of relationships, of course, the really ugly and extremely difficult part of life in relationships is having the hard conversations before the blowout happens. It is so hard to bring up the small needs, the small slights, the medium wants, and the lesser longings. It is so hard to walk in a different situation deliberately when there is a known and credible possibility of a blowback. It is so easy to say to oneself, it's no big deal. It'll be all right. I just shrug it off, or it'll get better. It is so easy to blow off one's own needs and concerns, particularly when the specter of a negative response looms. So, what do? We let stuff grow. We let the cancer of discontent metastasize until one day, when we're a bit short on sleep, or hungry, or stressed from work, and the girlfriend or boyfriend says just the slightest wrong thing, and all the discontent, anger, and hurt come pouring out, seemingly finally justified. The camels L3 and L4 finally giving way. It is so hard to stand up for oneself by sitting down and actually talking out what one's needs are, and then not backing down. It is far easier to just blow stuff up than to truly work at fixing it and or walking away when it is clearly no longer working. Far easier to take the path of hiding the truth and blowing things up. It would be very easy to mischaracterize this avoidance of the hard conversation as a communication problem in the relationship. It's not. Despite the incessant culture-wide blather to the contrary, communication is almost never the big problem in relationships. It's a courage problem. What really keeps individuals from standing in the fire and having the hard conversation is fear of the blowback, fear of hurting the other person, fear of being disliked or rejected, fear of just enduring the hardness of what's ahead, fear of not even knowing how to navigate life with this person gone, with this giant hole where they used to be. It's always fear, more unwillingness than inability to communicate, thus rendering it not a communication problem per se. That leads to the blowups, cheating, and destruction. So remember, we're giving away this signed autograph copy of There's a Hole in My Love Cup. To enter, just like, subscribe, and comment. Also, sign up for our Beacons link to get into the giveaway. Thank you very much for tuning in. Stay amazing, stay awesome, and remember always to keep it real.